Hello everyone, this is RCK. I'm glad to have you back again today. We're going to go over a nation that I really enjoy, and due to that, I think we're going to separate this overview up into three pieces. There will be three separate videos that come out, one being on Friday, one more than likely being on Saturday, and then the last one coming out on Sunday. The first one here that we will be going over today will be the overview for the nation. Secondly, that the second video that will be coming out will more than likely be the expansion because there's a lot to talk about, especially the ways you're expanding with. And then thirdly, we're going to be going over all the spells. I feel like each one of those require their own videos because there's a lot to talk about, especially spell wise since you're going to be using a lot of them later on in the game, or early, mid, and late game actually. So we definitely wanted to take our time on this one. Like I said, this is a nation I quite enjoy. I know a fair bit about them. I've played them a lot of times. We'll go ahead and go over the things going on here. Um, the race is humans. They prefer heat scale 1. Light infantry, slings, javelins, tribal kings can levy slaves. So we'll talk about that. Um, sacred jaguar and eagle warriors. Their magic is blood, fire, astral, nature, and water. You do get some cross paths in your heroes and things like that. Powerful priest, you do get recruitable holy threes if I'm not mistaken. You do, which those are very valuable if anyone has ever played with them. Uh, Powerful can perform blood sacrifices. That's going to be the way that your dominion actually spreads. Your dominion will not spread unless you blood sacrifice. So that is very dangerous if you're not paying attention to it. Um, just due to the fact that if you're not doing it and you hit zero, you're just dead. There's no going back. And there's events that happen that will take away your dominion score, of course, which can be very dangerous for you. You do have bless bonuses for this nation. You do get fire bless bonus of +1 and a blood bless bonus of +2, which is really nice. Primitive fortified cities, not that great. You do have a lot of magic sites, and we will go over those. The first one is the Temple of the Land. Gives us a nature gem and some of our recruitable sacreds. Temple of the Rain gives us a water gem and a rain priest. Temple of the Moon gives us a moon priest and an astral pearl. And then High Temple of the Sun, which is going to be giving us 3 blood slaves and 2 fire gems, while also letting us recruit sun warriors and high priests of the sun. So altogether, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3 blood slaves. So this is a very gem dependent nation. You definitely need a lot of gems, and you're going to need a lot of blood slaves. That's just the way you're going to have to play. If you're not very confident in your ability to create a very nice blood economy, definitely practice before you start playing this nation because you're going to be very dependent on your blood economy. You have a lot of great blood slaves that we're going to, or not blood slaves, blood mages, as we're going to go over. Especially using rather weak or low protection troops. Make sure that you're also testing your expansion before you start a game because there's nothing like you losing your first army or losing your expansion parties and just sitting there watching everyone else expand around you, and you're sitting there on turn 12 having 6 or 7 provinces and you're just so far behind. Starting off, we're starting with a warrior here. A very basic light infantry troop, 0 protection. He does have a shield, has no helmet. He has a sling and a stone spear. Slings could come in handy. You definitely have access to doing things like flaming arrows and stuff, so possibly could be something there. Other than that, this is a very cheap chaff troop. Next, you have another warrior, but this one has a little bit more armor to him. Overall, he would be a better choice if you're recruiting Chaff, just because he has a not only a piece of armor, but also a leather cap. So at least it's something, and his protection is 10 rather than being 0. He still has the same weapon types, being a stone spear and a sling. Next, we have our next tier of warrior. This one, instead of having a sling, they're going to have javelins, which are very, very handy on their own. Very, very short range, of course, because he is throwing it, and you only have 2 shots with that javelin. But at the end of the day, they are going to be dealing a lot of damage to javelin, so there is a you could have a choice either between slings or javelins. But the only thing about that is at that point that the slings can just throw from a lot farther away versus the javelins having to run in, and you would rather have some other troops in the front line. But as far as their armor goes, they still have the same armor as the previous warrior does. We have another warrior. We should have a lot of warriors. The only variance between them is either their armor or their weapons. This is very similar to the other javelin warrior, but instead of having a stone spear like this one does, he is going to be having a mace, dealing a large amount of blunt damage. So overall, he's going to be able to hit people pretty hard. Still the same. No, he actually has a reinforced leather cap and a copper scale armor. Same hide shield, so his protection is a little bit higher. You can tell from the increased cost in resources and increased protection value here. Next, we're going to start looking at a moon warrior. Very, very interesting. They do have spirit sight, or no, they have dark vision 50. My apologies. But their obsidian club sword is going to be a slash blunt damage weapon here. So very, very decent. They have the potential of dealing a lot of damage to a unit whenever they attack them. So higher protection units in the early age won't have too much of a chance against them. I mean, of course, you don't want to throw these guys against heavy cav, of course, but they're going to do pretty decent against heavy infantry in that way. But you have to remember that they actually don't have a shield, so that is going to leave them a little bit open to arrow fire or friendly fire from your slings or javelins, so you have to keep that in mind. I lost track of where I was. Your Eagle Warriors, this is one of your sacreds. In EA, this is going to be a cap only sacred for you. You do have another, or actually, you have 2 other sacreds that you can recruit, but this one is going to be a cap only. When you're in MA, this is going to be recruit anywhere made or sacred. Eagle Warriors are interesting for sure. As far as EA goes, I wouldn't make any of them except for maybe small amounts just to have these troops fly to the back lines and attack rear. Because other than that, I mean, you have much better troops you can be recruiting than an Eagle Warrior. But I can see them having their uses in small numbers. Now, while this is a human troop that doesn't have the ability to fly, once they are blessed, they will gain the ability to fly, which is quite interesting. But the downside to it, they'd be much better if they just had the flying tag in general, because they cannot fly on the campaign map. Even though they have wings and stuff, but they have to be blessed on the battlefield to actually gain the flying ability. But overall, these are very, very cheap sacreds, low resources, pretty low recruitment points as well. Protection 7, they're basically light flying infantry. That's what they're going to be. But very, very cheap, and you can make a lot of them as their upside. They do have 2 weapons. They have a lance and they have a stone dagger. Lance will, of course, be used in their initial attack, while the stone dagger would be used afterwards. They don't have a shield. They just have furs and a leather cap, so they're rather low in protection as far as that goes, but they're not expected to live long anyway. Next, we will be looking at another sacred here, and this is going to be the Sun Warrior. 18 gold, 15 resources, 18 recruitment points. He does have protection 13 while having a hatchet and a javelin, which will both do decent amount of damage. He also has a shield, and he is fire resistant at fire resistance 5. But overall, I still think you're going to be having much better sacreds to be using at the time. So this one is kind of put on the back burner, and no one really ever recruits this guy. Next, you have a feathered warrior. What this troop is going to do for you is he's going to be a standard. We've spoke about them before. What is basically what a standard does in a squad. You would only put one of them to a squad because their abilities don't stack. They're going to give the entire squad +1 morale, which could be very, very useful just by throwing one of these guys in. And that's the standard tag if anyone was interested. Other than that, I mean, this is just a troop you want one of in every squad if you can manage it. If not, it's okay. Mace, javelin attack, decent protection as far as your units go, of course. And next we have your bread and butter here being the Jaguar Warrior. This is going to be your best sacred. In my opinion, he is also a recruit anywhere sacred. So every castle that you have will be able to make these with just a temple. So the Jaguar Warrior, 26 gold, 4 resources, 31 recruitment points. So very, very expensive on the recruitment point side, but you're getting a little higher than average skill-wise human. 11 strength, 11 attack skill, 11 defense skill, 12 hit points. He's size 2, protection 7, and has magical resistance of 10, which is rather low. Morale of 12, which is nice. But the thing about this troop is he not only has this form, but he has a second form. He also has the sacred tag, of course, which we already said. He just has a leather cap and fur, so he is missing a shield. He could have been nice if he had extra armor as well, but it's okay. He has a obsidian club sword that is going to be dealing 20/20 blunt. So it's a very, very high damage unit. Whenever he loses all of his hit points and they go down to 0, he will turn into a jaguar, in a way, a were-jaguar. And just to show that, I just want to see which battle was what actually had one turn into one. Oh, there's one right there. And right now he does have a lot of afflictions and he's diseased, which is interesting. And he lost an arm, so it's probably not the best one to be looking at here. But as the bless that we took, we will be going over bless when we go over the expansion video or possibly the spells video. I haven't decided yet. You're looking at basic defense skill of 12. This is when he's changed to the second form. Basic defense skill of 12. Attack skill of 15. Yes, protections are going to be dropping down to 5. But what you're going to be doing instead is you're going to be gaining 3 attacks. Bite, claw, and another claw attack. But he's lost an arm, so it doesn't show it here. He also is going to have 18 hit points. So in total, I mean, you go from... or your whole HP pool goes from having 12 to 18, so altogether that's going to be 30. So I guess that kind of makes up for the high recruitment cost due to their high HP pool along with their high attack density. So it's going to be very, very nice, and these guys are just going to be able to shred up anything that gets in front of them, definitely. And if they have high protection, these Jaguar Warriors will not care. Attack skill 13, going up to 30. Well, this is going to be the bless that we have later on, and I will definitely go over it. But we will not care about how high their protection is, being 33 slash and blunt damage. We're just going to be able to knock them right on the head and really just keep walking. Statistics. National. Nope. Pretenders. So that is going to be a very, very nice sacred that you can make a whole lot of. And even then, you will more than likely take losses when it comes to these troops. But since you have the advantage of them being recruit anywhere, you're going to be able to really, really mass these guys out. And it's going to be really, really nice. Combine that with your holy threes. Um, every army, I mean, you can have multiple armies and all have the divine blessing and things like that. Or you can have small armies and just lead them with the holy ones and a group of 10 of these guys. And I'm almost positive they can take out 10 PD for sure. Even small armies at that point. So we'll start looking at our commanders here. We have a scout, very, very generic. We have a tribal king, which has a very, very interesting tag. He is also sacred. He is a taskmaster. He has 80 leadership, which is rather nice, giving everyone a morale bonus. But he is a slaver, so this commander can levy slave warriors. What it is whenever you click on this guy, he's going to have a little note on the side, and it's going to be capture slaves, being right here. You're going to be able to capture and train slaves to be used in the army, and that's going to, of course, cause the unrest to go up in that province. But you're going to be able to get really, really cheap chaff that are slaves, so they're very, very inexpensive, being they have little no upkeep and they're free slaves, other than the amount of rest that you're going to get from capturing them. Defenders. So very, very interesting ability to add on to this nation. Very, very nice to have as a frontline troop, break cav lances, all the rest of it. Very nice siege strength units since they're so cheap. As far as upkeep goes, of course, they're free. As just you have to capture them. And just a very, very nice inclusion to have for this nation here. Next, we have the Mictlan Priest, and this is going to be a very, very nice priest for you. It's very, very cheap, being 65 gold. It's going to have 7 research. It's only going to cost you 26 gold for the entire year, so take that divided by 12, and that's the per turn value of the upkeep cost. But he's a recruitable Blood 1 Holy 1 that has a 10% rating to get other paths. Not too important. The only thing we really care about is going to be he is a Blood Mage 1. And since he is also recruit anywhere, we're going to have a lot of Blood Mage 1s, or Blood 1 Mages. And due to the fact, we're going to have a very, very nice blood hunting core in a way. These troops, depending on how you blood hunt or where you blood hunt, it almost doesn't matter just because of how many blood ones you're going to have, since you'll be able to recruit them from the beginning of the game. So very, very nice here. This is going to be your main blood searcher. Yes, having higher blood paths will make it easier for you to blood hunt, but having more blood hunters is better than having high blood paths, just because you're able to have higher chances of you capturing blood slaves. That makes any sense at all. Next we have the Nahali, and this is also a very, very strong mage for you. They do change shape. They turn into a turkey, which is very interesting, but they have higher map moves, so they can go to provinces a lot faster, since at that point I think they have flying, I'm not entirely sure. They have spirit side. They have a supply bonus due to their nature magic. 11 research for only 125 gold. Upkeep is rather high since they're not sacred. 10% chance randoms on these. But the good thing about these guys are they're astral ones, so now you're looking at astral communions along with Sabbath communions being your blood ones. And they're nature twos. So you're going to be able to get high nature paths on the battlefield. I mean, even now, with this unit, you can make a Thistle Mace, and you're at Nature 3 already, which is rather nice. You can make the Moonvine Bracelet, I think, and that's the Nature astral one that will give you a nature boost, so you're at nature 4. Definitely can work with that for sure. And then just having a rather cheap astral 1 mage is always nice to have. You can, if you're also playing against another heavy astral nation, I wouldn't say heavy astral nation, but they have very, very nice astral mages. You can always magic duel them, even if it's a astral 2 or 3 you're up against. If you have enough of these guys, you will take them out. On top of that, you have some very nice spells you can cast with a troop like this. Mass Protection, um, Serpent's Blessing. You could cast Wooden Warriors, which would be very, very nice for you to have. I mean, if you don't have Mass Protection yet, of course. I mean, just a lot of things you can actually do with this mage here, which is really, really nice. Next, we have the Rain Priest. It can only be recruited in the capital. He is going to be your Water 2, Blood 2, which is also a Holy 2. These guys can enter in Sabbaths. They can go up rather high in their Sabbaths as far as their water paths go and cast some very interesting spells. Other than that, having Water 2 is really nice, because once you hit Construction 6, you're going to be able to make a Water Bracelet, which will get you to Water 3. At Water 3, you can make a robe that will get you to Water 4. From there, you can make a Sea King's Court, cast that, and you have very, very high water at that point if you decide, or if you need high water paths. I know you also have some national spells that include water, which is rather interesting, and we'll look at those on a separate video, of course. So that is something to keep in mind. Also a good site searcher for you just to get higher water income. And while you're site searching, every site searcher you pretty much will be searching with will have priest levels. So you'll be also searching for the priest levels at the same time, or holy levels. And normally enough, there isn't one, but every now and then you can get astral pearls from holy sites, and you can also get sites that show like the minion graphs and other graphs as such. So that's very, very interesting sometimes once you get those. But rather expensive, but he is a 4-path mage. I believe there's a few nice blood spells that you can cast with these crosspaths, but we will look at those later, of course. We have a Moon Priest, which is a Astral 2, Blood 2. It's really nice that you go higher into Astral other than just having a Astral 1. Other than this is basically a Rain Priest, just switch out in the water with Astral. So some also very interesting things, which I will talk about later in the research and spells video, on what you can do with Astral Blood Crosspath. Also a good site searcher for you. We have the Priest King. A little bit more expensive, but I feel like that is because they put Slaver Tag onto him, while also having a better weapon. But this troop is going to be a Nature 2, Blood 2. What's good about that is, you can cast Blood Fecundity, which is going to increase the amount of growth you have in a certain province for how many blood slaves you put into it. So really interesting to have there. Other than that, you already have fairly high battlefield nature magic anyway, so I don't feel like this is needed as much. But it definitely has its uses, so I won't stay and talk about this guy too much. The only real thing he's better at than everyone else is that he has 120 leadership, so he's going to give everyone a morale bonus of +2. So it can be very, very useful for taking around armies. Probably more useful than this guy since his leadership is only 50, even though he's a holy 3. So as far as your troop goes that you want to be moving troops around with, as far as your main armies, you want to have a Priest King just for that morale bonus. And of course, he can be casting spells and other things that will be helpful within your army. But the highest morale bonus and highest leadership that you have in this nation is going to be the Priest King. Lastly, we have the High Priest of the Sun, the Holy 3, Blood 3, which is going to be the highest recruitable Blood Mage that you have, which is really nice. Blood 3 is rather high as a recruitable. Fire 2, so you're able to have pretty high fire magic inside of your battlefield as well, just due to the fact that he can join into a Sabbath. He's also a little bit more expensive than the rest of them, 290 gold. I believe as far as your mages go, he is the most expensive. He is only one turn to recruit though, which is very, very nice. Not too bad on the upkeep, being a 5 path mage. So this troop definitely has its uses, for sure, on the battlefield and everywhere else in your thing. As far as searching go, I would at least send 1 or 2 of these guys out to site search. Just to the fact that you want to be making fire gems, of course. Because if you already plan on going construction 6, because we will be wanting to go construction 4 for dowsing rods, so that will help increase the amount of blood slaves that we can get. At that point, we'll be so close, it might be worth at one point going up to construction 6 for all the boosters we have access to, on top of having lightless lanterns, which will greatly increase our research. Since we will always be having fire mages or fire gems coming in, we should have a decent stockpile if we're site searching in at all. And due to the fact of us having rather high paths, we will be finding a lot of sites, fire 2, nature 2, astral 2, water 2, nature and astral blood. And there'll be some blood sites we'll find too, of course. But we will be rather dependent on sending a lot of these very powerful mages, at least 1 or 2 of them, and getting our land site searched, because we want gems, we want a very high gem income, and we want to be able to use that. Yes, these guys can only be recruited in the capital, but you don't need so many of them. I mean, you really don't need too many of these guys, and that's why I say you can probably make just a handful of them and be okay. But these guys, yes, they're more needed as far as leadership and holy threes go. And then these 2 troops over here can be made out of every castle that you make, in which case you're going to be wanting to make a lot of castles due to the fact that you have recruit anywhere Jaguar warriors. So you're going to be having a lot of blood ones, and you're going to have a lot of nature 2 astral ones. But you'll have to find that equilibrium in a way of how many you need on both sides, as far as your researchers, combat mages, blood hunters, and the rest of that goes. Overall, I really, really enjoy this nation. This is just the overview for it, and like I said, I will be making a separate video to go over the other things, because if I sit here and talk about it, I could probably be sitting here for close to 2 hours or more, honestly. So overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this small overview that I made. I will definitely be having the other episodes of this coming out in the coming week. I'm not sure if I will do a separate picture for this due to the fact that it being 3 parts. I will definitely take that into consideration. I will also look up some things, of course. So, hope everyone enjoyed it. You guys have a great day, and I will see you back here for the next episode.